Yeah, Wisha Stephanie. Okay, this week I suck. I just suck. This is my update video, and the title is I Suck. I don't know how to say this without saying this. I did not do a lot this week. I don't know if it's that I reached a frustration point or a boredom point, or I just got really busy with work. I just haven't done a lot. Having said that, what I want to do is so big that I am finding in the next few weeks, especially when my workload for my actual job, it's pretty big, so I need to cut back on my expectations, and that's a good lesson. Because let's face it, I am doing this part-time as a hobby, and trying to learn one of the a very challenging language, especially trying to learn how to read a very challenging language, with an intensely different script than my first language, is it's a slow progress. And my goal, I should say, in all of this is to keep going. No matter how little I progress every week, I want to keep going. So, what I want to share with you today is what I've actually done this week. I just did a video on graded readers, and I started to try to read part of a graded reader, and I got some ideas on how I can approach that separate mountain. It is closer to reading. It is reading, actually, but it's closer to my ultimate goal of reading in the language, so I'm going to try to push through with that. There's an entire video on that, so I won't go into too much of that. I haven't done much pronunciation practice other than practicing names at work. I really haven't done a lot of pronunciation practice this week. I find that when I'm around people, I tend to want to talk to people more, and I'm in a very English-speaking environment at work. I do language testing in English, and there's a lot of English that's around me. So I do find that I will talk to people more than I will study. So I need to block out some time. I'm almost thinking, and here's my thought, I'm not a morning person at all, but I find that I do crave new language in the morning. I do crave studying in the morning, freakish as that may sound, but I haven't gotten to the point where I've been able to encapsulate what I can do in, let's just say, an extra half hour in the morning. If I woke up a half hour early, what language learning could I easily fit into that where it wouldn't require me to boot up my computer, where I could just kind of like go on to one of my apps that I'm using or that kind of thing. So I think what I need to do, thank you for bringing this up, I think, and this is part of why I have this video, it's a thinking process of what's realistic in my language learning, especially in the next few weeks when my work schedule explodes. So what's realistic? Realistic is I could see myself waking up an extra half hour early and doing maybe a little bit pronunciation practice, a little bit of vocabulary practice. So I think that might be something to start in doing, not just the next few weeks when things get busier, but just in the long term. I think throughout the day, if I do that in the morning, I think that would set up my day for not having that kind of guilt of I haven't done anything yet, I haven't done anything yet, I haven't done anything yet. And since I'm walking around in places that have the language, I think if I do it in the morning, that if I see stuff, it would set me up for, hey, I just saw that, and it would reinforce what's going on. So I think that's what's going to have to happen. I think language learning might be the thing that pushes me towards being a morning person. Who knows? People say that as you get older, you wake up earlier, and I just want to call that out as being a total lie. That is not something that has happened naturally for me. I've always been an evening person. However, when I do language learning at night, it stimulates me too much and I stay up later than I want to. So that's not really helpful. I'm sure if I did more of the language learning that would overwhelm me as opposed to challenge me, that it would exhaust me. But I don't really want to hit that kind of frustrated wall on a daily basis. I would like to stay in that ZPD for all you language SLA geeks. I would like to stay within that and feel encouraged, not discouraged. So if you don't know ZPD, you're probably a very lucky person. So, and if you want to know, go ahead and Google it. I'm not going to spend time on that. Right, so, okay. So there's that, the potential of doing it a half hour in the morning. And I do have the apps to do that. I could do, okay, let's think through this. I could do a round of Anki, I'll talk about that in a minute. A round of Anki. I could even do all 214. Could I do 214 radicals in half an hour? Probably not. I'd probably have to do like a selection of 100 of them. So I could do 100 radicals in that time period. I could do some tone practice. Could I read anything? Could I read anything? Even just a sentence or two? I don't know. That might be an app that or a website or an Instagram feed or something that I want to look for, is can I practice a sentence or two? Because I don't want to just practice individual things anymore. I do find that practicing individual tones and two tones together, oops, sorry, I got a message on my phone, that was weird. Message from my phone, not on my phone. That was, anyway, not the point. I do find that doing it in isolation is fine, but I also at this point crave it in its realistic form. So I need more sentences. So maybe I could do a sentence in here. No, a sentence in here is an hour in and of itself. What could I do? What could I do? So I'm thinking those three things would be really good in half an hour. If I could find a sentence to practice, some tone practice, and vocabulary. That would be a very nice half hour. Am I doing some sort of Star Trek thing? I'm not really a follower, but that feels like it might be some sort of Star Trek thing. Okay, so that might be something to think, that is something to think about, and I think, on some days, because when I work, I wake up at maybe 6 or 6:30, so that would be 5:30 or 6, and then just instantly get to language learning, pre-coffee, and then start my day and get ready. I tried to do some stuff as I was getting ready in the morning, and I can do music in Chinese. I can do Chinese music and the song I've been practicing. I can do that, but I can't really concentrate on it that early in the morning. But I think, okay, if I get ready, then do my half hour, then go to work, I think that would work, because that would give me a little bit of time to wake up, get some caffeine in my system, and then study. I don't think just waking up and crawling over to I couldn't do this kind of stuff just sitting in bed, concentrating. I would fall back asleep. So I need to get up and physically move to a different space, which would be easy, and do it. So anyway, so that's one thing I'm thinking of, is doing an isolated half hour in the morning. And that might actually inspire me to do more during the day, because the guilt of not doing something would be off my shoulders. As I mentioned, I'm back on Anki. I tried to use the Pleco flashcards, but I found it wasn't seeping in. I didn't realize how much the images that I was using in Anki were really, really helping. Because when I was trying to do the same amount in the Pleco flashcards without the images, I found that was not cementing. Sometimes when I'm doing the Anki flashcards, I've got the here. Let me show you. Let me pull some of them up here. Study now. I will show you in a second as soon as it comes up. My computer is being difficult. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to switch to the computer, and hopefully you can see this. So, okay, let me move my coffee. So at first you see the flashcard itself, and it looks a little different on a phone. There's a lot less white space on the phone, as you can imagine. Show answer. Yes, okay, fine. I'm missing a plug-in on my computer. So then it has the image, the pinyin with the tones, the English, and I'm putting some examples without translations because I want to just get familiar with how it looks and how it might morph, because the characters actually change shape a lot of times when they're in different characters. The radicals change shape when they're in different characters. So I find that this, even when I'm not realizing it, even if I don't remember the exact meaning, or I definitely won't remember these, but even if I don't remember the meaning or the tones, I will, sometimes when I'm just seeing this, let me move to another one. Even when I just see this, sometimes I'll get the image in my head, and it won't necessarily, the meaning won't necessarily come through, I won't remember the pinyin or the tones necessarily, but I find that one of the first things that I remember is the image itself. And I'm trying to find one, because there's something else I want to show you too. No? So I'm finding that was missing from when I was using the Pleco cards. I do like the Pleco cards because they have more information in them. So in an ideal world, I would have, just going to have to move back and forth. In an ideal world, I would have the same set of flashcards on Anki and on Pleco, so I could use the best of both of them to reinforce different things. For the Anki ones, it would be the color coding I'm about to show you, the images that I just showed you, and the time-space repetition. In the Pleco ones, it would be the more information, the decomposition of the different characters to find out what each component means, and to see more examples and to hear whole sentences. Those are useful in Pleco. So I think what I need to do in the long term is to have the same flashcard sets in both Anki and Pleco, but this takes time. So right now I'm trying to get them on Anki because that seems to help, not go crazy, but it seems to help me the most. The other reason why I went back to, well, not the other reason, I liked how easy color coding was in Pleco because you pick the colors once and it just does it for all the tones. And so I was trying to figure out how to get the colors over into Anki. I downloaded a Chinese deck or Chinese add-on in Pleco, but I haven't had time yet to figure out how to use that. So what I did instead is I went in, and oh, you can't see it here, but there's just a thingy, like in a lot of word programs and word processing programs, you can highlight an area and just pick the color that you want it to be. So I did that, and so I'm slowly color coding the ones I have, and you can see in this one, I've color coded this. Tone 4 is red for me, and that's what I'm doing for that. So I've color coded some of them, and I'm still trying to figure out, do I want to color code the character too, or do I want to just color code this? Now some of you are going to see that I've got traditional characters in some of my cards, and I'm not doing that to confuse myself. I'm doing that because there are a few, and not many, but sorry, there we go. Because a few of the words I learned, a few, very, very few, probably a handful or two maximum, I learned when I was in Taiwan, and they used traditional. So as a bridge, new word for me, as a bridge over, you're a linguist who's also a really, really good language blogger, probably way, way better than me, used that word, and I really like it, is using your other languages to help you remember the one you're learning. So as a bridge to the simplified characters, I'm using the ones that I have seen before in traditional to help me remember the meaning of the ones in simplified. There aren't many, there really aren't, but where they are and where I do recognize them, I pull them over into the flashcards, and I put them second, and I know that the simplified one is first, and that's the one that I'm going to be seeing in mainland China. But I want to include the other ones because there's no point in losing what I learned before, right? So, so there's that. So I'm back on Anki, and not instead of, but probably in addition to Pleco. I'm still using Pleco on a regular basis. It's so insanely helpful for looking up stuff when I'm outside in the wild, when I'm online, when people text me things or tweet me things in Chinese. It's really easy for me to draw the character, or sorry, to write. It feels like drawing because they're so visually pleasing and interesting, but to draw the character in that function that I mentioned, that I showed in another video, it's easy to do that, and then to find it and to find the meaning and the sound in there. There's so much good stuff in Pleco. I love that. I just am not really jiving with their flashcards without images. If you know how to put images into Pleco, do I even want to ask this? Because if you tell me how to do it, then I probably will abandon Anki again. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I need to pick one tool, although I do feel like I am slightly scattered and have been scattered for 15 weeks, but it's part of the learning process, and I am learning different things from different apps. So I'm back on Pleco for now. If you know how to add images to Pleco, by all means let me know. If you know anybody that works at Pleco, could you please suggest to them that they add images? Is that wanted? I think that's wanted. I think we're really visual beings, and I think images, would some people think that images are too immature? Because I don't. I think that we're insanely visual people, and if anybody wants to argue that that's an immature thing, then please go online and look at Google Images and at all of the YouTube and other video sites that exist globally. We're insanely visual people, and we learn very visually. So Sorry, I heard a bunch of naysayers as soon as I said that out loud, that we should add images to dictionaries. So if you agree with me, thumbs up, leave a comment. Leave a comment below, because I don't want to be alone on this crusade for visual learning. I'm not. There's tons of resources out there. But for some reason, Pleco doesn't have images, and I'm very curious about why that is. What else am I doing? Oh my gosh, wait, I'm going to check my list before I stop this video. So hold. It's super telling that I forgot where I put the list, because I kept transferring it from my paper book to my email to my Keep, which is a Google List app. Yes, it's an app. Okay. I keep transferring it because I keep not looking at it. I have apps. I have an entire page on my phone. That's a good thing to show you. I have devoted an entire page on my phone just to the apps that I use frequently. I've got Anki, the pinyin trainer that I really like to use, Memrise, Chinese Skill, I can't read that one, Audio Trainer Lite, High Native, Chinese Writer, and Pleco. So I've got, those are the frequent ones that I use. And then I've got another page for ones that I want to use in the future, but I don't want to delete them because they might come in, they might be useful at some point when I'm stuck and I can't use the ones I do have. So I've got Weibo, QQ Music, HSK1, I've got a vocabulary list of words there, Hanzi Craft, which is amazing. Have I done a video on Hanzi Craft? Hanzi, sorry, I keep saying that wrong. Some other Arch Chinese, I don't know what a lot of these are, Radicals Chinese. So I've got a lot of bookmarks of web pages that I put as on here, so I want to be able to just automatically go there. So I've got 2 whole pages, are they called pages? 2 whole screens of Chinese apps, and I have separated them into daily use or frequent use and later use. I meant to, as a way of tracking, I meant to move them over from left to right as I was using them on a daily basis, and I forgot to do that. So I'm still working on tracking, on how to track. It'll happen someday, whatever. I'm not bothered. So okay, Pleco flashcards was on my list. I'm reading my list of what I wanted to do on a regular basis. So right now it's more of Anki flashcards. Twitter or Hacking Chinese are the 2 sites that well, Hacking Chinese is an account and a website. I've been slacking off on Twitter all week, just been really, really busy. Memrise or Chinese Skill for like grammar and more of sentence thingies. YouTube, I haven't been watching a lot of videos on that, either the inspiration side or the practice side. Tracing, I haven't done any of that. Pronunciation, the alphabet songs. The alphabet songs I've been singing in my head at work. A, E, I, O, U, yeah. Seriously, I've been singing them at work. 我心话 pinyin. Yeah, right, what? Out of nowhere, I'll be thinking about something and writing something, and boom, 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 it'll come in and it's an earworm. So I'm going to check that off as being done because it keeps happening. The song from Renee that I've been practicing, I haven't really been practicing. Pinyin Trainer I haven't been using. Yeah, I've been doing very little. Very little. I have been creating Anki flashcards, and I want to show you that as the last thing here. If I don't sound more angry with myself for not completing all of the things I had on my list, it's because I'm still learning. It's hard to believe considering how much I haven't done that's on the list, but I have been doing a fair amount of flashcard making. And I've been doing a fair amount, I've been doing some on Twitter, and I've been deconstructing language in the wild. But as long as I'm doing something and I keep going, that is my main point. It's hard because I can't compare myself to people that are like doing language study programs. I can't compare people who are doing like night classes. I'm not those people. I have a full-time job, I travel a lot for work, and August is a super busy month. So as long as I'm keeping the language fresh in my brain and I'm still listening to stuff and I'm still seeing things and practicing the vocabulary that I'm trying to learn, then that's going to have to be good enough for now. In September, I'm going to go way more full throttle, and I'll show you how right now. Okay, so I will turn the camera around in a second as soon as I get off of my email. Okay, so here we go, back to the screen. Let's see how good we can get this. I'm going to have to hold this for it to work properly. Okay, so here we go. I have taken, I got sick of all the different lists of common radicals. There's 214 radicals in Chinese, and these are the building blocks for the language. So instead of trying to figure out which was the best, most common, most frequent ones, I just decided to throw it all in and learn all of them. It's only 214, right? And I knew quite a bit from the other list that I was using. Whoops, sorry. The other list I was using. So I've created, even though in a previous video I did say I wasn't a spreadsheet person, apparently I've lied. Because I use a lot of Google products just because it's cloud-based and super easy, and I use so many different devices that it's just really nice. So I took all of the Kongxi radicals. There's 214, if I remember correctly. I keep saying it, so let's double check. Yeah, 214 of them, and they're by stroke order. So you can see this third column here is stroke count. And so it goes from the simple ones to the complex ones. On this sheet, the pink ones are the ones that are I've already transferred over into the Anki deck that I'll show you in a second. And the green ones are the ones that I haven't. For example, this one here, that kind of thing. So I've got a fair number in there, and I created a tracking part at the bottom, Anki card tracker, and this one, and it shows the date I worked on making cards, the number that I started at, and the number that I finished. So I did 56 to 92, whatever that is. I did that many cards that day, and this is the goal is 214 to complete all of these, and this is the percentage done. And so this week, as I say I've done nothing, if you can see here, I've actually gone from 43% completion to 57% completion. I have 121 out of the 214 radicals in the deck, and some of them, and some of them are so familiar that when I started to track this and started to put them into Anki, I haven't done some really easy ones, like going back to one stroke. I haven't put one or dot or slash or any of those in there yet. Those will come later. So there's ones that I know that aren't in there yet, but they will be relatively soon. So yeah, so there's that. So the reason why I did this is because I've been working on radicals for how many months now? So I was like, okay, I want all of these now. I'm sick of deciding which ones to learn, which ones to learn. Oh, I'm out of coffee. This is horrible. Okay, so I'm just going to do all of them. But because so many of them were familiar, it was demotivating. So I'm color coding the ones that are complete, and I'm keeping a percentage so I can track how many I've completed. Now, I've recently found lists of 1,500 most common Chinese characters, so I'm going to create a sheet like this for the 1,500 most common Chinese characters, and I'm going to work on words. I need words! If anything, trying to read a graded reader for beginners, I realized I've been working so hard on radicals and sounds that I don't actually have a lot of words at my disposal. So that'll be good, because I think that'll be a huge return on motivation, is actually having whole words instead of just having parts of words. The radicals are super important, and they are the base of the language, and they do help me deconstruct meaning, or at least the sense of a meaning of different things at different points, even out in the wild when I'm walking around town. I don't regret spending a lot of time on them. I think that's been really useful, and I'll continue to work on them, but I need some words. So I'm going to slowly work on the 1,500 most common characters now. Words, characters, words. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, right? Yes, we're going to go with that. So that is my next goal. That's going to take some time, but as I'm creating them, I'm going to be reviewing them. So I don't need to create flashcards every day. I can do 1 or 2 sessions a week, get 20, 40 new ones in there, and just review like crazy the other days that I don't have time to make new flashcards. So, and it's getting a lot faster to do this. Especially, I've learned that if I find lists, instead of searching for the meaning of ones, which turned out to be a disaster the first few weeks when I just had the radicals or the characters, and I was searching for meaning here, searching for sound there, searching for image there. I got so many meanings that were wrong into my flashcards that it was awful. It was really, really awful. So I was memorizing incorrect meanings, and it was just counterproductive. So I found that if I find lists of frequent characters or frequent radicals or whatever, if I find lists that have the character, the pinyin with tones and the translation, and I just work off of that and use their translation, then all I have to do is find the sounds in Forvo and the Google images, which is really easy to search for. Either in Google or in Baidu. I just find an image somewhere online. Someday I'd like to go into all of the photos that I have taken in China and transfer those over and use those instead, because those are more personal and I think they might fit better. But I don't really have the time to go through. I have so many photos and they're so disorganized. So that's not happening right now. But I find that's a lot easier. I'm able to cruise through making flashcards much quicker when I already have somebody trustworthy who's made a list of ones of characters and words that is reliable. It's much easier to do that. That's what I did that's what I'm doing with the 214 radicals, and it's going much faster. And I don't have to question if the meaning is right or not. It's just right there. So I find that a lot quicker. I have found a list of the 1500 most common radicals, and it does have meanings next to it. I got the idea for doing the 1500 most common words or common characters from the Graded Reader, and I talk about that in that video. But basically they mention they're using this list of 1500 most common characters, and I emailed them to see if they could tell me where they got that list from. If they do not reply in the next few days, I'm just going to start working off this other list that I found that seems to be from a pretty reputable source. I got it off of Pinterest, and I'll put that in the... No, I'll show you now. It's Mandarin Poster. It's list.mandarinposter.com. And they have the European CE Common European something framework levels next to the words as well, and that makes me think that the person who made this list knows their stuff. So that's how I'm judging trustworthiness. CERB. I think that's what that, yeah, because it's A1, B1, C1, D1. No, that's not that. Okay, I don't know why. Because the words look like common words to me that would be used frequently. There's like of, is, at, have, this, person, say, meet. Those sound like common words to me. So I'm going with this list if they don't email me back. If they email me back and have a list that I can work off instead, then I will transport that over into Google and spend as much time as needed to get that into Anki and work off of those. But I need words. I need to be able to read sentences. Whether my tones are right if I read them out loud or not, that will happen with time and with more input, but I need to be able to read whole sentences soon. I am getting really bored of single ideas in radicals or single words. I need fuller ideas. I need to be able to say words correctly. Right, so that is my update video of I suck, but I'm trying and I'm moving forward anyway. Because sometimes you just do less and sometimes you do more. And that is my week. That is week 15. It is Saturday. Oh my God, it's Saturday already. So the week is over. This is the end of the week. I haven't done an update video before this week because I suck. I just do. And you know what? That's okay. Because I'm going to take the money that I'm making from working too much this month and I'm going to go over to Taiwan really soon and confuse myself with traditional characters and revisit my old stomping ground from when I lived there in 2003. But more about that after I book the trip today. Probably next week I'll probably tell you more about that. So thank you for following me in this maddening self-learning thing that I'm doing on this channel. Yeah, so thank you and more soon. 再见.